everybody.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for making such beautiful yarn for us. So everybody,
Yeah.
this is Aimee Alexander. She is the dyer behind Polka Dot Sheep Yarns. She's also a local yarn shop owner. And I had the pleasure of meeting her pre-COVID in her shop, pre-move. It was in before you
That
moved,
was,
right?
yeah, that was in our temporary shop. We were
Yes,
there
yes.
for
You were
about 9 months.
working
Yep.
on your space. Yes.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show. And can you start out by telling us a little bit about how you got into dyeing yarn in the first place?
Yeah. Well, from a crafter standpoint, I just wanted to try it out and have fun with it. But as from a business standpoint, I had been frustrated with the length of time it would take to order indie dyed yarns and when it would arrive. And um, I like to engineer ways to do things. My mind works that way. And I thought there's got to be a more efficient way to do this so that I could get yarn quicker. And yeah, it just kind of went from my garage and refining the technique into finally building the exact studio that I thought would be the smallest possible space with the most efficient output. And yeah, it's just been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're behind the scenes. We've had several dyers come on and give us behind the scenes, and I'm constantly impressed by the operation that goes into this yarn that we put on our shelves, and that our customers see and they're like, "Ooh, pretty yarn," but there is just so many steps and so many, you can just tell that there are so many parts that have to move together to make that one single beautiful skein. Um so you're very, very good, I think, personally, at making custom colors or inspiration colors. Like if you go to Amy's website, you'll see lots of times, or follow her on social media, she has a picture that's inspiration and then like a palette that comes out of it, and just the most beautiful yarns. Can you tell us what that process is like?
Yeah, I love to work from photographs. I think that it's obviously the truest way to see a color, and work from there. I'll usually just think and dream about the photograph for a day or two, maybe more, depending on my schedule. And then I go to my own color library and think, okay, I think that needs a bit of this green and this blue. And then the last step is to work in what colors, because they always bleed. Somewhere you're going to get bleeding colors, and that can work or not work for you. And so that's always the last thing I think about. Okay, is this going to bleed and not create? And then I just give it a go. I usually will do 2 or 3 batches. I think with yours, we got it really quickly.
It was
We just got
so
lucky.
perfect.
And yours was interesting because those primary colors are hard to work with and keep them primary, because it's really easy to get purple in there, and the blue and green, the blue and yellow to get green. So we had to be really careful about putting, you got to use black or white between the layers so they don't bleed into the colors you don't want. And so that was fun. It was a challenge.
That I never even thought about that, because you did it so well. I'm like, I keep looking at my hat. That's what I'm turning my head towards. There is none of that muddying or anything happening in that. So you're very skilled at that. My last question that I had jotted down, just for me to ask, you kind of talked about already, which is your role as a local yarn shop owner influencing the yarn you choose to create. I think Cadence and I can certainly relate to that frustration of the process of waiting on indie dyed yarn, and how that would lead you to want to just make your own. And as someone who's ordered your yarn, you're so good with your turnaround times. Like, it just makes it so much easier and that's probably because you have that local yarn shop owner perspective. But are there other ways that kind of plays in with your business?
The time.
Yeah,
Well,
and just how like one influences the other and kind of vice versa.
yeah. Another way, just having the yarn shop influenced getting into that, is the special order. It's, as you know, it's impossible to stock 8, 12 skeins of every color you have.
Right.
And you want to provide that service to your customers. So I wanted to be able to create a way where we could get custom orders out within a couple days, and we did. One of the main ways I think that we've evolved more than other, in a different way than other indies, is we have we've invested in commercial cabinet dryers where the yarn actually hangs in a dryer. We now own 2 of them, so we could get our yarn from the dye pot, washed, rinsed, spun out of water in the dryer into the labeling rack within 45 minutes to an hour. And so, when people ask us what our secret to being quick like that, it's the dryers. It really is. And so if you noticed how small our studio is, and you scroll around, you can actually see the 2 dryers, and there's a small little hanging rack with a handful of skeins between them. So if you watch that video again slowly, you could take a note. The hanging rack is the only rack that we have that wet ones go on while they're waiting for their turn. So
that is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
And so simple.
And it kind of makes you wonder why more people haven't thought of or implemented it. Yeah, Julia commented in the chat that she said she was expecting you to say a day or so. Not 45 minutes.
So Aimee, I want to know how big your team is.
Yeah, we have, right now, I have 2 pretty much full-time. I'm lucky to have flexible employees that have other things to do in life, but I have 2 full-time dyers and myself, and then we have 4 other employees that kind of work more in the front of the house, the shipping and the phone call, everything else. And so it works pretty well. We're pretty much at it 5 days a week. If all 3 dyers are in the studio at once, we could, on a good day, put out probably on an average day about 250 to 300 skeins.
Wow, that's so impressive. I wanted to just put out there to everybody, if you have any questions for Aimee, if you want to pop them in the chat. Let me ask you about your town, because I feel like we have kind of similar locations, these smaller but resortish towns where there's a lot of influx of people from outside visiting. Do you feel like that creates kind of a weird seasonality in the part of the business that's your local yarn shop?
Yes. Yep. I think it's an unfortunate end. I think we get a lot of traffic in the summer, which maybe isn't one of the bigger months for knitting and crocheting. So I think it helps us there for sure, because that's really our tourist season. I'm sure with you too.
Yes.
So we see our locals more in the winter, which is fun, and spring slow, but come summer, we get a lot of visitors, and many more and more people have actually heard of us and come in, and it's really fun. We enjoy it.
Fun. Yeah. I know that I would like to know more about the sweater you're wearing. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, it's a Jennifer Steingass pattern called Garden Gate, and I knit it with Stumptown DK. In the orange is Anaconda, which is a town name in Montana, and the dark purple is Fig.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Let's see. Rob's got a question. What's your process for custom orders? Do you have a color wheel, or people just say what they're looking for? He's kind of curious to learn more about maybe how you put that together.
Sure. Well, for our custom orders, it's really only for yarn shops. We don't do individual custom orders.
Got it.
Yeah. What we do oftentimes, we have what we call free spirits, and as we're playing with colors, we might graduate through a spectrum before we start to put that in our repeatable catalog. And those colors we call free spirits, and we put them on our website as flock deals. But yeah, it does require a little too much work to offer that service individually at this time.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Any other questions? I haven't seen any, and I don't think I've missed. I'm gonna scroll real quick. Okay. Do you have any other last thoughts or anything, or we covered a
Well,
lot?
I'm just so delighted to have been part of this project, the Route 66, and yeah, and the hat you designed is amazing.
I'm going to talk about that in just a second. There is one more question that popped up. They want to know how you get the look of the color on the outside, but less or more transparent on the lighter on the inside, like the yarn that we had. And I think I suspect the answer to this, but I'll let you.
Yes. So when the dye hits the yarn, we call that striking, and it happens really quickly. The minute the yarn goes in the water, the dye just chemically connects to the fiber. And the particular yarn base that I used, Big Sky, it's such a thick plied yarn that the dye actually is just striking on that outside, and it doesn't even have a chance to get to the inside of the fiber. And so it's a ways, it's like a silver lining, really. It's, yeah, that happens because it's got its own beauty.
Yes, that's what I expected that you were going to say. And I agree. Yes. We have one more question, if you don't mind, asking if you source your fiber locally.
That is something we've been trying to do for many years, work with farmers locally. We've run into problems where their time and the quality of their fiber is, and milling it in small batches, it's, by the time it goes through different business chains, and we got it to you, the cost would be astronomical. Yeah. And I do meet with local dyers, local farmers, and we discuss it. And, you know, it's something we do want to make happen. It's just, I think it's just a matter of time before a light bulb goes off and we think, oh, this is how we can do it and make it work for everybody.
Yeah, I certainly can see how that would be the case, that it would just get more and more expensive as you each layer of the process.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Well, Aimee, thank you so much for taking time out of your Sunday to join us for the show, and for making such beautiful yarn. I'm going to go ahead and unspotlight you and then talk about the yarn and the project. So thank you, Aimee.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.